Philadelphia's latest disaster might still be fresh on all of our minds, but the moves inside the Novacare complex today could not be any different, as Howie made the move we did not ask for but might actually really need, while the offense seems to have found something to build on as they face the Raiders. Oh, speaking of Las Vegas, they just dropped some big news of their own that the Eagles' defense might just love. I'm Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. Bad news in Philadelphia this morning that the Birds are now riding a 3-game losing streak. Local media is salivating at the prospect of benching their Super Bowl MVP quarterback. And yet for everybody outside of WIP and especially inside the Novacare complex, the confidence, accountability, and dare I say positivity honestly seems way higher than I would have thought. After the latest round of roster changes from Howie Roseman, plus some big news out of Las Vegas, if the Birds want to turn things around, this week could not be more perfect. First, though, it's your last chance to enter the To The House Collectibles Saquon Barkley giveaway. This thing is absolutely incredible. So if you want to win this bad boy on Saturday's show, drop a like, be subscribed, and why don't you comment Go Birds down below. Oh, and check down below if you want to buy one yourself with the link there, and I have a discount code for 10% off as well, so grab one if you're interested. Now, first things first, the funniest outcome is actually the most likely, at least in Philadelphia, as reports out of Raiders camp yesterday indicates that starting quarterback Geno Smith is dealing with a shoulder injury that is considered unlikely to allow him to start this coming Sunday. Which means, and this is crazy, former Eagles backup quarterback and Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett is officially preparing to start against his old team at the Link. And I'll just say this, before you get a little too excited saying, ooh, we get Kenny Pickett, he's pretty bad. I think he looked a lot better than Geno Smith has, at least the entire season, when Pickett played a couple of snaps versus the Broncos last week. Pickett stepped in, again, at the very end of the Broncos blowout on Sunday once Geno got hurt, and very quietly went 8 of 11 for 97 yards and a touchdown. And while no, I do not think, at least I do not hope, the terrible Raiders have a shot at the Birds on Sunday, I do think Kenny Pickett makes them at least a little bit more interesting.
Fans will be ready to go. They have a hell of a team. They've kept, there's not a ton of new faces on that team. So there's a lot of really good players. I know the coaching staff and how prepared that they're going to be for the game. So it's a great opportunity.
Philadelphia, though, as we know, has zero room for error in 2025 because the 2023 comparisons will be thrown into absolute overdrive. Philadelphia loses a primetime West Coast game due to a late Jalen Hurts pick. I want to come back to Philadelphia and play a 3-win team, just like the Cardinals, and where Philadelphia once again enters 11.5-point favorites. Oh, and also it happens to be called by the exact same Fox broadcasting crew of that Cardinal debacle 2 seasons ago. So yeah, Geno Smith, Kenny Pickett, it doesn't matter. Don't lose this game on Sunday. Do not have a repeat of the Cardinals game, or else it's officially, no doubt about it, 2023 all over. Of course, I do think Philadelphia, as I said, they're going to be fine, and also help is likely going to be on the way. As despite not officially practicing during the Birds' very light walkthrough on Wednesday, the expectation is that right tackle Lane Johnson is going to give it a go this weekend, especially after tweeting the eyes emoji earlier in the week, and the report a couple of weeks ago from the NFL Network that the Vegas game was the target return date for the Birds' all-pro right tackle. Obviously, time will tell. We'll see if he actually practices on Thursday afternoon and Friday afternoon, maybe even a game time decision on Sunday. I don't think he needs to rush back because Fred Johnson has been very good, but if he's healthy and ready to go, get him back out there because the one player on defense that could actually ruin Philadelphia's game on Sunday, it's Max Crosby, and he normally lines up on Lane's side. So Lane, if you're healthy, we need you back out there. Of course, the other move Philadelphia did make a couple of days ago that might help a lot more than we realize, and again, don't laugh at me for saying this, was the actual cutting of long snapper Cam Automitis due to the return of the usual long snapper Charley Hughlett off of IR. And again, you might be saying, Thomas, a long snapper, that doesn't make a difference. What are you even talking about? Which I would say, maybe so, but the facts, they really don't lie. Philadelphia is 4-5 this season when Automitis plays, and 4-0 when Hughlett actually takes the snaps. Plus, Jake Elliott had 6 misses with the previous long snapper, including 1 versus the Chargers, and 0 with Charley Hughlett. Makes you think. I'm not saying Philadelphia's season is saved, but come on, the stats, they do not lie. And again, all joking aside, Jake Elliott, he is a kick away from probably icing that game for Philadelphia. They probably win if Elliott doesn't push that one wide left. Also, I want to give a massive shout out to the sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. If you're like me or everybody else in the entire world, you think you're paying way too much for your phone bill, well, Mint Mobile has completely changed the game. For example, everything's actually done online. So there's no stores, there's no waiting in lines, there's no pushy salespeople. Buy this phone, buy that phone. It's all done online. And then, of course, you get premium wireless on the nation's largest 5G network, all at a price that actually makes sense. How about unlimited talk and text, hotspot access, and even free calling to Mexico, Canada, and the UK? And the coverage is fast, reliable, and it works everywhere you need it. What I personally love is the flexibility. Like, you pay for the data that you actually use. Makes sense. Whether it's 5 gigs, 15 gigs, 20 gigs, or even unlimited. And when you buy 3, 6, or 12 months up front, you save even more. And switching over, super easy, and also takes a matter of minutes, which is nuts because Mint Mobile uses eSIM technology. And so you get the same phone, you keep your same phone number, all done from the comfort of your home. And right now, for the holidays, you can get 50% off. That's 50% off an unlimited premium wireless plan with Mint Mobile. Or you can lock in Mint's lowest price of the year. That's $15 a month on a 3-month, 6-month, or 12-month plan. All you gotta do is go to mintmobile.com or click the link down below in my description box, somewhere right down here, and start saving today. And I think that perfectly overall leads into my next big point here, because I want to make one thing very, very clear for all the doubters and naysayers and radio hosts in Philadelphia land. We fans can definitely believe right now two polar opposite things about the Eagles at the exact same time and not be considered crazy. For example, I was probably like you, absolutely disgusted by the Birds' loss for the Chargers as it was happening on Monday night, and I even doubled down on my Tuesday recap show saying their season was likely over. And yet now, 3 days removed from the Monday night debacle in LA, I watched the film, I thought about it, and you know what? I'm kind of buying back into the Philadelphia Eagles, not as Super Bowl champions, but I think they're about to dramatically turn the page in a big way. And yes, I know, the Birds still look bad. I mean, come on, 5 turnovers. Nobody in their right mind is going to argue against that. That was awful. But have you really thought about why all of us are so disgusted by that loss versus the Chargers? Maybe even more so than the Bears debacle? Because Philadelphia's offense actually looked good. It was actually moving the football. For Chicago, they could hardly move the ball. They went 3 and out a ton. And yet versus the Chargers, nearly all of Jalen Hurts' turnovers came on the Chargers side of the field. I mean, you take away one of those turnovers, and Philadelphia, again, likely wins that game.
I like some of the schemes they did. I like the play action stuff they did. I like the pocket movement that they did.
I thought the 28-yard throw he made to Smith in overtime was his best throw of the season.
The way that they actually moved and, kind of sustained some offense and got some chunks, and I thought that looked better.
I really do think that there were some positive things to take away from the game offensively. I thought the offense did some really good things this past week that they can build on.
Plus, for all the Nick Sirianni haters out there who've been saying, oh, he can't scheme an offense, he's an idiot. Well, he did say himself going into that game he was going to have more influence entering the Charger matchup. What do you know? The passing game concepts, well, nowhere near Ben Johnson, Sean McVay caliber. They definitely were clearly better than the previous weeks. Plus, let's not pretend like Saquon Barkley didn't just have his best game of the entire season. Because the Giants game in Philadelphia was another good one, but that was really one good run early, and then it all stalled out. Take away Barkley's 52-yard touchdown run on the fake tush push, and he still has, 70 yards on the ground with over 4 yards per carry average. And then moving on, how about A.J. Brown? He put up his 3rd straight 100-yard game on Sunday, which, yes, is coinciding with 3 straight losses, but I don't see the two as actually being in correlation. I see them currently using A.J. Brown a lot more effectively than they did earlier on in the season, especially across the middle. And I see a team that probably wins by 2 touchdowns, even with the 5 turnovers, if A.J. Brown doesn't drop any one of these 3 very easy passes. And staying with A.J. Brown, a lot of us were expecting him to have, not the great post-game reaction, not the great attitude like we saw earlier on in the season. Yet the opposite was exactly the case. A.J. Brown had a very, very good post-game press conference. He was defending Jalen. He was, taking blame on himself. I thought this was very, very positive in terms of the overall offensive relationship when A.J. Brown talked to the media.
That was a tough game, games like this happen, come about, but, the confidence and the trust, we come together, and that's what matters, and that starts in the week, that starts each and every day. We looking at the film and correcting and trying to get better.
Pair that with this little clip of the most recent Hard Knocks episode, and does it appear like AJ and Jalen are back on the same page and, dare I say, smiling together? I think deep down, even all of us who were devastated on a Monday night are really truly upset because that was the best the Eagles have looked. That was the most, focused they were going into the game, the most emotional they were throughout the entire game. They were super pumped up. And again, you take the turnovers away, they probably win. And if they would have won that football game, we would all be 100% back on the hype train, even with the offense still looking better, but a little bit suspect. And again, if you're the most ardent hater right now and saying I'm an idiot, I think deep down you got to agree that that's true. The real question, though, for all of us, whether you're glass half full or glass half empty, will that rug pull loss kill their confidence when they channel all of this against a terrible Raider team and finally get a dominant win? I'm guessing the answer is going to be yes, but time is going to tell. But again, don't forget, this is a 3-win Raider team, likely without their starting cornerback, flying across the country and in desperate need of the number 1 overall draft pick. This is not a game Las Vegas really wants to win, even if their players are saying, the opposite is true. And if you're in the comment section typing right now, Thomas, you were so negative on Monday. How have you completely flipped? This is ridiculous. The truth of the matter is, I want the Eagles to be good. I'm an Eagle fan. I root for the Eagles. The Eagles being good makes me a happier person. Them being bad, it's depressing. It's not fun. And I truly believe, after watching the film against the Chargers, that this football team, especially with this defense, can still win plenty of games. The schedule is super easy the last 4. If they can get in the big dance, they can host a playoff game, which if they get in, they will. The NFC East is theirs. Anything is possible, and I'm just not going to abandon ship with 4 games left and a playoff appearance all but guaranteed. But of course, I'm not going to forget all of their sins. I'm not going to pretend like that was a flawless game on Sunday, even turnovers aside. I mean, this clip of Cam Jurgens post-game talking about penalties and then not being cleaned up in practice during the week, this right here is still very concerning.
I think we got to be clean during the week, in practice, walk through, everything's got to be clean, and, that's going to lead to being cleaner during the game. And, I don't think we're clean enough during the week.
Nick Sirianni preaches tough, detailed, and together. Yet their center is basically saying that they weren't very detailed during the week, at least when it comes to pre-snap penalties, which keep hurting the offense. Again, that's on Nick Sirianni. Something's got to give. Now, Cam Jurgens did clarify those comments. That was post-game. He then went on WIP a couple of days ago and said, I didn't truly mean that we were not that detailed, but we don't have a lot of time during the week to practice on those things, and maybe we should practice on those things. I think he's being, a little bit more covering for what he said on Monday. I think he truly honestly believes they're not practicing enough to get rid of the penalties. Hopefully, him voicing that, other players voicing that can change it. But again, the point of this episode is not to tell you guys the Eagles are perfect and going to win every single game. It's that I'm positive despite there still being plenty of problems. And that, of course, leads to, I think, the main reason why Philadelphia did lose to the Chargers and the main reason why everybody's freaking out this week, and that was the play of Jalen Hurts. And again, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was terrible. He looked bad. No one can defend Jalen versus the Chargers. But the fact that the usual suspects on local talk radio are already clamoring today for Jalen Hurts to be benched is so unbelievable to me that I didn't even want to talk about it, but I see y'all's comments, so here it goes. Jalen Hurts raised a Super Bowl trophy less than a year ago today. Don't forget, he was the MVP of that Super Bowl and should have been the MVP of another one, both against Patrick Mahomes. To call for his benching right now, 5 games into what is a bad stretch, 2 of which he did technically won, for a 6th-string quarterback we've hardly seen play is absolutely insane. And that's not to say Jalen Hurts cannot be critiqued or that Tanner McKee is not potentially a good prospect. Jalen Hurts can 100% be ripped up and down. I mean, his whole thing is that you can look past the fact he sometimes has some very low stats because A, he wins a lot, and B, he does not turn the football over. So obviously, when he's neither winning and also turning the ball over 5 times, everybody rightfully starts to panic. But to go on a show or text your friend's group chat saying Jalen Hurts should be benched, a $250 million quarterback, still with an 8-win football team, fresh off a Super Bowl victory, it's ignorant, and if you're at a radio station, it just feels like you're trying to clickbait people, rage bait people into actually viewing your program, and I personally don't think that's the smartest business decision. I don't think that they buy it either way. Jalen Hurts can be criticized 100%, but calling for his benching right now, it's some of the most ridiculous and dumb things you could possibly say. And again, I'm not defending Jalen Hurts' last calendar month, but no one can watch some of the passing concepts, the route concepts, the play design, the blocking, and go, yeah, this is all Jalen Hurts' fault. While also watching Jalen Hurts with 2 different competent offensive coordinators make 2 different Super Bowls, it's still want to blow the Birds up, who, again, sit alone in the NFC East at the very top and are all but guaranteed to still host a playoff game.
For me, my ultimate importance is protecting the ball and being able to do that. So just see it that way. The problem about the game is as ugly as it was throughout. I had the opportunity to win it in the end, and so that's what I take a lot of pride in. And I didn't come up for my team.
I'll tell you guys what, if Jalen Hurts continues to throw 3+ interceptions the final 4 or maybe 5 games of the season, continues to look really, really bad, he's to cost his football team in the most critical situations, and they keep losing, then yes, there can be a conversation in February or March, maybe, even though I still think Philadelphia monetarily is tied to him. But let's just put that on the back burner right now because he's probably going to go out, shred a bad Raiders team, play 2, maybe Marcus Mariota games against the Washington Commanders, and have 1 really big game in the final 4 against the Buffalo Bills. If he goes 3-1 in that stretch, or even 4-0 in that stretch, Philadelphia is the 2-3 seed, maybe even the 1 seed. They host a playoff game, maybe they're red hot, and anything is possible. Oh, and one other really quick point here as to why I feel so positive today and so different from a couple of days ago. Do you realize how good the Philadelphia defense is playing? Like, do we actually understand what this defense has done? I mean, against the Chiefs, in the second half versus the Rams, against the Packers, that game against the Lions, and now the Chargers. I mean, this past Monday night, Nakobe Dean is a whiff or 2 away from Justin Herbert being sacked 10 times in a game. Jalen Hurts threw 5 interceptions, A.J. Brown dropped all those passes, and they still nearly won. mean, Jalyx Hunt right now alone, a complete breath of fresh air off the edge the past couple of games. He now leads the team in sacks. He's top 2 in all other major edge rusher categories. This guy has been balling.
Jalyx is really honing in his skill. He's really kind of getting the feel for the game now. And, this is going into his second year. He's starting to understand like a lot of GPS stuff. And I think it's really cool for him to just go out there and have fun. And I love it because he's having fun. And I think one thing, I didn't, until this morning, I didn't watch the film. I just watched the Monsters, Inc. version. But, even in the Monsters, Inc. version, you can see like him making plays. And then I think the most important thing for me was seeing the hat on the helmet, seeing the hand, like high fives and all that stuff. Like, I think that's what I'm all about.
So yeah, forgive me if I'm a little bit positive today. Forgive me if I think that Lane Johnson coming back and the Raiders being next on the schedule and Philadelphia's offense actually showing somewhat of an improvement is enough to get me excited for the final 4-game stretch. If it turns out that I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And as I always do in this show, I'll come on here and say, guys, I was wrong. I had my hopes up. Fire Nick Sirianni, maybe bench Jalen Hurts. I don't know. I'll be there. I have to be because I have this show, and you guys love to hold me accountable in the comments section. However, I'm telling you, the vibes seem a little bit different after that loss. And if they just can beat the Raiders on Sunday, it's going to make guys like Jordan Davis, maybe the new positivity rabbit in the locker room, seem like they were 100% right to still be 100% buying into this football team.
When you live positively, it's very hard to be wavered about stuff like that. And I know for me personally, I'm never wavered by that stuff. Offense is going to have their games. And I'm so deep into this faith in the offense that I have that one day, hopefully very, very soon, it's going to click. And when it does click, watch out. Because we all know what we're capable of. We all know that we're capable of much more. And we know that we can go out there and we can execute, we can be dominant. But we just have to keep putting in the work. We have to keep keeping the faith. Because I feel like a lot of people are just kind of losing faith. And, whether that's y'all, whether that's the fans, whatever. But me, I'm still 10 toes down for this team. I'm still 10 toes down. Like, I hope that we go out there one game and we just put 100 ball on it, and we play a high level of defense. And I have the faith, and I'm always telling them, I'm always confident. I always say before we walk out, go on the field for the game. I say, look, each and every in this locker room, I have full faith in. Because I wouldn't be playing this game at my purest confidence if I wasn't confident in the team that I have behind me.
Now, of course, plenty more stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks, and I will read y'all's comments. I know there are people, haters, people who are positive, but I appreciate you guys nonetheless. And I also read the comments to see who wins this bad boy on Saturday's show. I'll link down below if you guys want to pick one up yourself. But comment, go Birds, be subscribed, drop a like, and we'll get this guy sent out to the winner hopefully early next week. I'm Thomas Mott, hanging out here on a Thursday, trying to be a little bit positive. Can you blame me? This has been the Thomas Mott Show.